Hi guys, I wanted to show you how to make herb bubble bread. I've showed this in one of my What's for Dinner videos a while back, and a few of you asked if I would record it, so I am making it again. And I'm going to make my dough in my bread machine. You can just buy your own dough if you don't have a bread machine, and the rest is really simple. So for this recipe, you'll need 1.5 pounds of white bread dough, and I'm just going to show you how to make it in my bread machine just in case you want to make your own dough. You're going to need 1 cup of water, and you'll just pour the liquid into your bread machine pan first. Then you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter. I usually cut this into smaller pieces just so that it can mix really well. You're going to need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. You're going to need 3 cups of bread flour. You'll need 2 tablespoons of dry milk. You'll need 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then you'll also need 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. And you'll just put those in order, so the liquid first and then everything else, and then ending with the yeast. So I have all of my ingredients in my bread machine pan, and be sure to cover all the liquid with the flour, so make sure it goes all the way to the edge. And you probably know that, but I always mention that just so that your yeast doesn't get wet too quickly. So you'll put your yeast right on top. You'll just hit the dough setting and hit start, and this will make the dough for you, or you can use your own and then just follow the rest of the recipe. Next, you'll want to melt 4 tablespoons of butter. Once your butter is melted, you're going to add 2 cloves of minced garlic right to the butter. Next, you're going to add your Parmesan cheese and your herbs to a separate bowl. You'll need 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. You'll want to use grated Parmesan. You'll need 1 teaspoon of parsley flakes, dried parsley flakes. You'll need about 1/2 teaspoon of dill weed. And then you'll need about 1/8 of a teaspoon or so of each of these: basil, rosemary, and thyme. So you'll just add all of that to a bowl and mix them together. Now you're all set to make your bread. You're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and once your dough is done, you're going to divide it into 16 pieces and roll each piece into a ball, and then set your butter with the garlic on your counter, and then your herbs with the Parmesan cheese, and then your loaf pan, and you're going to want to spray it really well with either cooking spray or olive oil so that your bread won't stick. And what you're going to do is just take each ball of dough and dip it in the butter and garlic. And then into the herbs, and then place it right in your loaf pan. And then you'll just do that to each one. So this is what it will look like before it's ready to go in the oven. I just place each ball of dough on the side and then put some in the middle and just kind of push them in. And then with the extra butter and garlic, I usually just drizzle it over top. I do not feel like it needs a second rise if you make your dough in the bread machine, because it starts to rise more as you're working with it. And I've never had a problem. If you are using dough that was refrigerated, you might want to let it rise a little bit, because you can already see how mine are larger. So I'm going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees, and it usually bakes for about 1/2 hour or so, sometimes a little longer. And you'll just want to make sure it's nice and golden brown and it's cooked all the way through, so it won't be doughy in between each ball. What I do is after about 20 minutes, I check my bread and make sure that the top isn't getting too brown, and you can place some foil over top if it's starting to get really brown, but the center isn't all the way cooked through. This is what your herb bubble bread will look like when you take it out of the oven. Mine took 32 minutes, so you just want to make sure that it's no longer doughy in between each of the pieces of bread there. And I did cover mine at about 20 minutes, so it was covered and it cooked perfectly. It's delicious, so I'll hope you give it a try. You'll want to let it set for 10 minutes before you pull it apart, and it just pulls apart into each of those balls that you made. So very, very delicious, and it's great with some homemade soup. So hope you give it a try, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to comment below. Thank you so much for watching.